All right, here we go. It's great to have you here on the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast on the Grid Network. I'm Mike Guido. That's Dalton Brown. It is great to have you here on another Monday evening. I guess this kind of went over the heads of both of us, Dalton, but this is episode 50 of our show. We have reached a milestone tonight without even noticing. So happy 50th, my friend.
Thank you.
So we have plenty of stuff to go over today. So a little bit later in the show, again, the playoff picture is sort of taking shape. We're each going to come up with a team right now that's currently in playoff position that we feel most confident could fall out, and then a team that could potentially even take their place, somebody that can a team that could find themselves in a playoff position by year's end. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Your Dodgers came with a massive series sweep over the San Diego Padres this weekend. I mean, that could not have come at a better time. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Where are the Mets right now? That's a big part of this. Mets just coming off from the Little League Classic against the Mariners, which is always really fun. I was just telling Dalton pre-show that I just came back from Williamsport. It really is such a cool thing. So we'll talk about the Mets as well. Before we even get started, Dalton, because, again, I feel like it's sort of in the spirit of it, and I'm in the spirit. I'm wearing the shirt and everything like that. So the Little League Classic just happened. Mets beat the Mariners and all of that stuff. But like I said, I just got back from Williamsport, and I'm absorbing all of everything that they have going on there. And I always kind of like to tell the story of how my best years in baseball were my Little League years. So like all of my fantasy teams that I roll with in every sport, my name is always peaked at 12 because that's the truth. When I was 12 years old, I was throwing 71 miles an hour. I was, at 5'7". I was bigger than everybody else on the field. That was where I was most dominant. And that was before, that was just about at the time where I was starting to play in the big field. And I was, again, mixing it. I wasn't anybody special on the big field, but my last year of Little League when I was 12, I was a monster. I was an absolute monster. I threw a 5-inning perfect game with 14 strikeouts. That was the peak of my baseball career. Dalton, tell me a little bit about your Little League days.
Well, first of all, that's awesome. What a great memory to have. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I played on, when I played Little League, which I did until I was 12 as well. Our Little League team was one of the best around. I mean, we won our whole district. We came within, it was either within 1 or 2 games of making the Little League World Series, actually.
Oh, it's cool.
Which would have been a really special thing, but we lost a game 2-1. And it was heartbreaking. But that Little League team that I was on, I think we had at least 6 guys who played Division I.
Oh, wow.
So it was a really talented group. We had a lot of fun. I, around the ages of 11 or 12, had grown very tall. I was around 6 foot at 12.
Oh, wow.
Because of that, I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. My heels were hurting a lot. My ankles were hurting a lot. So my 11-year-old year, I don't know if I got a hit all season. And then when I was 12, I started to figure it out and come back into my body and was throwing hard, and it was a lot of fun. Also, I think I'm the only person in America that can say this. So you know how in Little League you have your league games at your Little League, and then you go to the All-Stars, and those are the guys that compete for whatever, right?
Right, of course, yep.
Excuse me. My last ever Little League game, I was playing for the Cardinals. No, I was playing for the Astros. My last ever league game, I was tossed from.
Really?
I got tossed by the umpire. And
did you deserve it?
No. So what happened was I was the starting pitcher in the game, and I was also our number 4 hitter or something. And I struck out against one of my good friends in the 4th inning. And apparently I removed my helmet 2 steps before I entered the dugout. And I guess that was a huge
Oh.
no-no to this particular umpire. Now, I know in Little League, it's technically against the rules to remove your helmet before you leave the field.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. I was frustrated walking back to the dugout after striking out, removed my helmet 2 steps before we get to the dugout. Umpire immediately ejected me from the game.
Ooh.
And my dad rightfully blew a gasket. My dad was one of the coaches. He rightfully blew a gasket on this umpire. And I remember like going and like sitting in sitting in front of a bush way down the line, watching the game from outside the field. And to this day, I mean, who kicks a 12-year-old, who ejects a 12-year-old for that in their final Little League game?
I know that's a little weak. That's a little. Listen, if you want to, listen. I feel like the appropriate way to handle that situation is like, hey, listen, it's not even, again, you were 2 steps away from the dugout. So maybe I say nothing, but it's like, listen, make sure he keeps his helmet on until he gets in. It's a safety thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it's not an ejectable offense.
Pregame, we had like our captain's meeting, and he said he would eject somebody if they did it, but I wasn't thinking about it in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently, I mean, I don't remember all the details of this. This was, 20 years ago, but my dad was like one of the coaches of the All-Star team, and this umpire's kid was in the league and didn't make the All-Star team.
Oh.
So, like, make of that what you will.
Maybe some politics involved.
There might have been.
Maybe some politics involved, which I'm afraid to say still exists in Little League, and it's really sad that that's the case. But all right, good stuff. I always love talking about that stuff because again, that was like the peak of my whole life. Like that was when I was at my highest. So
that's what it's meant for.
Listen, man, that's the way it is. But all right, as we do every show, we kind of cater to our own fan bases. Yankees, Dodgers. Dalton, you're the defending champs, and coming off a huge weekend, might I add. Start us off. How are the Dodgers?
Yeah. So it's weird, right? Because the vibes going into this weekend were the lowest they've been all season.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers have played terrible baseball. Like, even including this weekend, the Dodgers are 15-21 in the last 36 games. So, like, that's just not acceptable over that long of a stretch from a team with this much talent, even with the injuries that they've had. They just have not executed well. Like, they've been taking bad at bats. They have been playing poor defense at times. And most of all, the pitching has been downright abysmal out of the bullpen for certain portions of that. Now, all of a sudden, you're coming into this weekend. The Padres came in, I believe, having won 14 of 17, I think was the number. I think they were 14-3 their last 17, which is how they caught the Dodgers and were in first place going into the weekend. And I don't know what changed. All of a sudden, our bullpen could get outs. And I also think that we're starting to come into a rotation that's as good as it was advertised to potentially be. Shohei is finally going out there and throwing 5 innings now, which is massive. And then after him, you're dealing with Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto, Kershaw, and they're all healthy. And that's without talking about Emmett Sheehan, who has been very solid since he's come back. Yeah. That's without talking about Justin Wroblewski, who's quietly been really solid in his second year in the league. So I think the starting pitching is starting to give the bullpen a break. And I think that that's really going to help. Like this weekend, we saw Kershaw go 6. We saw Snell go 6. We saw Ohtani go 5. Those don't sound like these huge totals, but to do that 3 games in a row is why the Dodgers were able to complete that sweep. So, it was unexpected, to be honest with you. I was just hoping to at least take 1 game and not go out. I'm like, okay, look, if we're down 2 games coming out of this, fine. I wanted to at least take 1. Mm-hmm. Sweeping was a lot better than expected. Now, thankfully, you get the Rockies now for 4. I don't expect. To me, the expectation for the Dodgers against the Rockies is don't lose a game.
Yeah,
you got a 4-game sweep this team, and then it's back to San Diego this weekend. But we'll talk more about this later on.
Yeah. I certainly listen. This is the point in the year, and the Yankees are in a very similar position where, like, now you're getting into some series that you have to, like, claim some ground, right? Yeah. Like, even though the level of baseball has been subpar to the Dodger standards, coming out of this weekend with a sweep and reclaiming first place. I mean, that's going to be massive when you look back at, towards the end of the year. I mean, that could be a huge, huge turning point. For what it's worth. John does math. You get tossed from a Little League game 20 years ago, and now you take it out on the Rockies.
Correct. It's the Rockies' fault.
Dodgers starting a series at Coors Field tonight. They can't catch a break, Dalton. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They can't catch a break. Thankfully, you get the Rockies. What slander is this? This is, yeah.
Yeah, John is very excited about Dodgers Rockies starting tonight. It's a big time period for him.
Listen, it's a big series. It's a pivotal series in Colorado's season right now. So no wonder. Let me shift to the Bronx. Actually, a pretty good week. 5-1 this week. 2 out of 3 from the Twins, and then you sweep the Cardinals in St. Louis. And again, these are not impressive wins by any means, but they're wins you have to have. These are wins that you have to have. So this week is huge for the Yankees. Okay, you get 2 in Tampa at Steinbrenner Field against the Rays, whatever. Then you get 4 games at Yankee Stadium against the Red Sox. That's a series where you have to kind of that's big. That's real big. So they have to figure out a way to gain some ground in that series. The thing that is frustrating me about the Yankees again right now is it's similar to how it's been over the past several weeks to a month. They just can't consistently find a way to get outs. The pitching has been very subpar based on what we saw earlier on in the year. They've been, maybe there have been, I haven't been paying attention all that much to how every other team in the league plays defense, but I can't imagine so many have been worse than how the Yankees have been playing defense for the last month. I mean, some of it has just been absolutely abysmal. Now, do I think that that's going to last forever? No, I don't. I think that there's, I think there's upside here. I don't think that this is, going to be something that they're going to be struggling with for the rest of the year. This doesn't seem like major league issues. This seems like a blip in the radar. It has to kind of clean itself up at some point, because the Yankees are still hitting. It's not like they've completely fallen off. This is a team that still is among the top 5 in every offensive category. They still find a way to score runs. They're still finding ways to, even some of the, Jose Caballero has been fantastic as a Yankee. He has been, just so it's not like they've completely fallen off the rails. They have to find a way to get outs. And there's no reason why a rotation and a bullpen of this talent level can't figure it out. Okay. And I'll even give Devin Williams some credit here too. Ever since moving him out of the closer role and just putting him in lower leverage situations, he's been absolutely dynamite. The guy, his arm slot looks different. He just looks like he might have figured something out. Mm-hmm. If you can just find a way, you just see Devin Williams and David Bednar and Camilo Doval and Luke Weaver and this Yankee bullpen should be they should be able to shorten games by 5 innings. It's ridiculous how much depth they have in that pen. So if there's a way that they can consistently get outs, and that's the thing, it's not like their bats have gone cold and they can't help but lose games. If they can get themselves into a position where they are just simply getting outs at a normal rate, then I think the Yankees are going to be really damn good by the end of the year. I honestly have faith. It just needs to fix itself, and they need to gain some ground in some important series coming up.
Yeah, I think for the Yankees, they, at this point, you're kind of okay, have we gotten past the doldrums? And I think a week against the Twins and Cardinals was sort of just what they needed to change the feeling in the clubhouse, to change the narrative around the team. Look, I know I've talked about this a lot in recent weeks. It's a really big deal this time of year. I like to have the Tankathon MLB strength of schedule remaining up in front of me while we have these conversations. And what it does is it just takes strength of schedule based on just pure opponent record, right? Yankees have the 4th easiest strength of schedule left.
Yeah.
They're in a great position. You still have 7 more with the White Sox, 7 more with Baltimore, 3 with the Twins, 2 with Washington. That's a lot of winnable games. Now, look, you also have 7 with Boston, right? Those are going to be huge.
Yep.
And obviously the 3 with Toronto are going to be really big. I don't know if the Yankees are still in contention for the division.
Yeah.
Partially because Toronto's path over the next 10 days is real light. They play Pittsburgh, they play Miami, and they play Minnesota. That's the next 10 days for Toronto. If they go 7-3, 8-2 in that stretch, you're not gaining any ground on them.
Yeah.
Most likely. And so I think the division is going to be a tough sell at this point. I mean, it could happen.
The division might even be a wrap at this point. Like the Blue Jays are so far ahead at this point.
But look, if you think of it this way, right? Like you're how far behind them now? Is it 5.5?
I believe, yeah, 5.5.
5.5. So you think of it this way: you still have 3 more with the Blue Jays, right? If you sweep them, you got to be 2.5 games better the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that can happen, right? So actually no, you'd have to be 3 games better because they own the Blue Jays own the tiebreaker.
Right. Yeah.
But look, I think for the Yankees, it's really just you kind of just have to keep your head forward. Like the good news for them is behind them in the wild card race, you've got Cleveland sitting 3.5 behind them. Well, Cleveland's got a decently difficult schedule left. And you'd hope that 3.5 games is a big enough cushion.
Mm-hmm.
For the Yankees, it's just about go out and beat these bad teams and you're fine. And I think it's a good opportunity for them to get right, to get healthy. And at the end of the day, like if you get into a wild card series for the Yankees and you can maybe get to the point where you're playing that series at home, you're going to have a good shot. The concern for me, if I'm a Yankee fan, is I don't want to end up in a wild card series in Houston, and I don't want to end up in a wild card series with Seattle. Obviously, you can win, but I don't want to. I'm definitely that Seattle rotation in a 3-game series, Mike.
Yeah, not fun. And I don't love the idea of playing Boston either. I don't. They've been better without Devers.
Yeah,
they have.
It seems like it.
It's crazy how some of that shit works. It really is insane. Okay. I would give you a score update, but it's whatever. Anyway. It's not great for clips. Let me just tell you that. All right. So let's move to this. So let's talk about the Mets. So they just came off a win against the Mariners in Williamsport. They are, I didn't realize, by the way, how far back they are now in the division. They're 5 full games back of the Phillies in the division.
Yeah.
Which is not an uneclipsable mark, but it's an uphill battle to say the least. Their starting pitching seems to have fallen apart in a lot of ways. They have relegated Frankie Montas to the bullpen now. They're not even starting him anymore. And this is a team without starting pitching depth. Frankie Montas is now in the bullpen. Clay Holmes has simply come back down to earth. Don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. The experiment hasn't been a total failure by any means of the imagination, but I did expect him to kind of, come back at some point. There just seems to be a lack of depth here. Also a big problem for the Mets recently has been the recent performances of Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo, the top 4 in their order. I mean, they've really been struggling. I mean, all 4 of them have OPSs in the last month or so of about 650. Like, they've just really been struggling. Listen, we look at the NL playoff picture right now. The Mets are behind the Padres by 3 games in the wild card picture, behind the Cubs by 4 games for the front 2 wild card spots, and they're only a game and a half ahead of the Reds for that third one. Dalton, I mean, they're 5 back in the division. What is the upside here for the Mets? Are they just in it right now for a wild card spot? Where do you put them right now?
Well, I think that first of all, the first thing I want to do is give you and I credit, right? Because we talked about preseason as we were doing our previews. We talked about the fact that the Mets rotation was going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And we had Mets fans in our comments telling us 10 different reasons why we were wrong. We have to look at this Mets team in two ways, right? You can view them as the team from the last 2 months of 2024 and a team that, looked great through the first half of the playoffs.
Right.
Or you can look at them as the team that they've been the rest of the last 2 years outside of that, which is a much larger sample. And I think the Mets roster is as good as it's been now over that time period overall. They did a lot at the deadline. I give them credit for that. But what they didn't do at the deadline is the same thing that they didn't do last offseason, which is address their rotation in a real way. And the problem is you're relying on older kind of wily vet arms who are coming off career, are coming off kind of career year for you. This is not that much of a surprise. Like we talked about this. They don't have a number 1 or a number 2 in the traditional sense. Now, Kodai Senga can be that guy, but when has Kodai Senga stayed healthy consistently, right?
And he doesn't go deep into games ever.
And that's the other thing. He's not efficient at all. You talked about Clay Holmes, right? The Frankie Montas thing didn't work. We told you that wasn't going to work. I'm just being honest, right?
Yeah,
so
no, it's true, yeah.
It's one of those things where I think they, as a team, have had a philosophy of we are not going to spend resources on starting pitching. We're going to develop it in two ways. Developing starting pitching happens when you call up your guys. It also happens when you go sign guys that you think are undervalued and that you can pull something else out of, right?
Yeah, right.
They're very reliant on their ability to do that. And to put it bluntly, they haven't done it to the same insane level that they did it in the past. They're 23rd in fielding independent pitching, which we call FIP. They're 23rd in FIP since July 1st with their starting pitchers.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough, right?
Half, yeah.
And you look at their bullpen, they are 21st. So they're just not getting enough people out. And the only way that you can win games consistently when your pitching is not great is you need Soto, Lindor, Nimmo, you need all these guys to be raking. And so right now, they're not a team that can afford any cold streaks from their hitters. They can't afford to run into good pitching because they can't, they can't prevent runs. I think the back end of the bullpen, they haven't been great in the bullpen, but I think the back end of the bullpen is ultimately a strength if they get into the playoffs. I do think that, the guys they have back there are good enough to get outs.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to sound an alarm in the bullpen.
Yeah.
But if you're the Mets, avoiding a wild card series is a big deal.
Yeah.
A way bigger deal than it is for, let's say, the Padres or the Dodgers or some of these other teams that have starting pitching.
Yeah.
If
the playoffs started today, the Mets would get the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs.
If the playoffs, yes. Yeah. It would depend on the tiebreaker between the Dodgers and Phillies. But yeah, I think, they would.
But I think those two teams are the favorites to win the World Series. That's how I see it in my opinion. Because I think the Dodgers and the Phillies are the two best teams in baseball. All together. Outside of how amazing the Brewers have been recently. I think the Dodgers and the Phillies are the best equipped to win a World Series today.
I would throw the Padres in there, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
But I can certainly see the argument you're making. Look, I mean, the problem for the Mets, right? Because I'm going to be honest, I just don't think the Dodgers are going to end in the 3 seed.
I don't either. I think
they're going to end up in the 2 seed at this point.
I agree.
But if you're the Mets and you're going on the road to Philadelphia to play a 3-game series, I mean, the Zach Wheeler injury, we'll see. But even still, that Philly rotation with Christopher Sanchez, right? They're still the better rotation there.
Yeah.
Even with the injuries that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have Yohan Duran in the back of that bullpen. Matt Strahm is back healthy. That's a really complete team that that's out for blood against you and a crowd that's out for blood against you. Good luck, right? Because that's
right.
I mean, I'm just being honest, Mike. I think that's what it's going to be because I don't think the Mets are going to pass the Padres, and I don't think they're going to pass the Cubs. I think for the Mets, they need to be looking at Cincinnati, and we'll talk more about that later.
Are they? So we talked a little bit about strength of schedule left. I can't remember if we've ever talked about what the Mets have left.
They have the 13th toughest strength of schedule left.
All right, so it's very middle of the road ish.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what they've got. I mean, they've got 6 with Washington, the first of which is this week, right? The first 3 of which are this week.
Yeah, they have a 6-game road trip coming up this week.
They've got 3 with Atlanta, 6 or 7 with Miami, and 3 with the Rangers. Okay, those are the losing teams left on their schedule. But they've got 7 with Philly. They've got 3 with Detroit, 3 with the Cubs, 3 with San Diego, and 3 games that might be very important with Cincinnati.
Yeah. In Cincinnati, might I add.
Right. It's not an easy road.
No, it certainly isn't. And the Mets, and I know, honestly, that Met fans right now are super, super frustrated because it's not like, and I don't like comparing the Mets and the Yankees just because I get a ton of heat for it because they call me a homer in that respect. But it's different from how the Yankees are losing games where their pitching has been so bad that regardless of the fact their offense has been still scoring runs, they're still losing games. The Mets, their pitching has been really struggling, but at the same time, they're not scoring runs. Like they are, I mean, outside of the 1 month that Juan Soto had where he was just on fire, I mean, Juan Soto's kind of gone back to what he was the first 2 or 3 months of the season. Like this is just like, and if you look at the numbers in a whole, it makes sense that Juan Soto's still, worth the money that he's being paid. But he's been, I mean, as far as I can tell, he's been fairly average for most of the season. Lindor's been decent, but struggling lately. Alonso has definitely struggled lately. Brandon Nimmo struggled lately. I mean, I would say maybe one of the biggest disappointments this year for the Mets has been Mark Vientos. I mean, Mark Vientos has been flat out bad for them this year. So, and on top of that, you have to run out David Peterson and Clay Holmes and Kodai Senga. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the strength is. Like, I don't know what the Mets can lean on right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know because
I mean, to be honest, Mike, I think if you're the Mets, your formula is find a way to get 5 reasonably decent innings out of your starting pitching, and then like hope that the combination of all your bullpen arms can get it done. Like,
yeah, right.
That's, I mean, it's a little bit. I mean, it's one of those things that like you can see it working in a long series, right? Like in a 7-game series, if Soto, Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso, like if these guys can hit the way they're capable of in a 7-game series, I could see them piecing it together if their bullpen's hot. The problem is that starting pitching can be a real problem for you in a 3-game series. Like,
yeah.
I mean, because like we saw the Dodgers do it last year, and I don't think it's a great blueprint, but like in a desperate situation in a 7-game series, you can pick and choose which games you like really want to go after from a pitching perspective and hope for the best in the others. Yeah. You can't do that in a 3-game set. And I think that's a problem for them.
Yeah. No, it's 100% right. You're 100% right. If you were to, and I don't know if this is spoiling what we're talking about later, but if you were just to predict today, do the Mets make the playoffs or not?
Probably. Okay. I think more likely than not. But, and this is going to spoil later, but that's fine. they are, in my opinion, the team currently in playoff position most likely to miss the playoffs.
Okay.
I just look. I mean, Cincinnati pitching wise, especially in the starting rotation, is just better than they are. And I think that could be a problem. Now, the saving grace for the Mets is the Reds have the third toughest schedule in baseball left. The Reds still have series with Milwaukee, Toronto, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Padres, and those Mets, obviously. Mm-hmm. So the Reds have a lot of tough games left. But I mean, where are the vibes better right now? Right? I think they're significantly better.
They're certainly better in Cincinnati today than they are with the Mets. 100%. 100%. I'm sitting here almost surprised that the Reds are the team that we're talking about.
Well, and by the way, Mike, it's not some fluke. I mean, the Reds have a better run differential than the Mets.
Yeah.
The Reds are plus 49. The Mets are plus 36. Like, if you look at the Pythagorean win-loss, Reds have played better.
Yeah.
It's concerning for the Mets.
It is. No, it certainly is. It certainly is. And it's got to be frustrating for Met fans. It really does. Like, it really needs to be frustrating because, they had such an exciting offseason. But again, we harped on it for so long that this rotation was going to give them issues.
Yeah.
Like, it was eventually going to come back to bite them. And it came back to bite them earlier than expected too, because Senga went down for a period. Griffin Canning's out for the year, who they got outrageously good innings from. It's just, I don't know. Like you said, vibes are not really great in Queens right now. Okay, so let's move to this NL West race, right? So we talked about it a little bit earlier. The Dodgers swept the Padres over the weekend. Dodgers right now 2 games into first place. Padres creeping behind. This is an interesting race that they have going on right now. Listen, the Dodgers have had the upper hand against San Diego this year. They have 8-2 against them this year in the season series, and they're not done. So what do we make right now of this NL West race? What do you expect it to look like down the stretch?
I heard it said on another podcast that I listened to that the Dodgers season started on Friday. And while I think that's a little bit reductionist and silly, I also think there's something to it. Like, the level of, I don't want to say focus, right? But like the level of intensity definitely ratcheted up this weekend. Like, bullpen guys getting out of innings, you could tell there was a different energy. You could tell there was a different energy from Roberts. You could tell the games were being managed a little bit more intensely. Alex Vesia going for a 5-out save yesterday. That's not something we've really done this year. We've been very careful with bullpen arms all season with the Dodgers. And so there was a little bit of a change in how things looked. And, I'm very curious to see in about 6 minutes when they start in Colorado, how it looks this week. Like, do we maintain that intensity?
Yeah.
Or do we look like the flat team that we look like getting swept by the Angels? At this point, you're midway through August. I would hope that you've got 2.5 months of intensity in you, right? I would sure hope so. Here's the main thing that's an issue for the Padres here. The Dodgers, the rest of the season, they play 3 against San Diego this weekend, right?
Yep.
And then they only have 1 road series against a team over 500 the rest of the year.
Wow.
1. And it's in Seattle the last weekend of the season. Meaning
Right.
those games might not matter.
Right.
So if you're the Padres and you're looking for the Dodgers to lose games, here's what that has to look like. You've got Philly coming into Dodger Stadium at home, coming into Dodger Stadium for 3 in September, right? There's a chance.
Yeah.
You got the Reds, who are probably going to be desperate coming into Dodger Stadium in September.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you've got the Dodgers playing 7 against Colorado, 3 against Pittsburgh, 3 against Baltimore, 7 against a Giants team that's suddenly way out of it, and 6 against a Diamondbacks team that's out of it.
Right.
Now, the Giants and Diamondbacks are both going to desperately want to beat the Dodgers. It's just in their DNA. But
yeah, right.
But there's not a whole lot of oh, well, at least the Dodgers have to go, play in Philly, or at least the Dodgers have to go play the Yankees, right? Like, if you're a Padre fan, I'll put it this way: if they want to win the division, they have to sweep this weekend at Petco, I think.
Yeah.
Because, they host San Francisco for 4 this week. I bet they take 3 out of 4, but they might. Maybe they split. You're probably going into this weekend against the Dodgers down at least 3 games, maybe 4. If you're the Padres, you have to sweep that. Because if the Dodgers come in and win that series, you're leaving that series down 5 or 6 games. You're right back where you were 4 weeks ago before these huge runs, and it evaporates like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, you look at the schedule for the Dodgers the rest of the way, like they're gonna sail, they're gonna cruise.
Yeah,
they have to.
Yeah, you're looking at 4 against the Giants, 3 against the Dodgers, at Seattle. You got an easy stretch here at the Twins, home against the Orioles, at the Rockies.
It should be said, the Padres have the second easiest schedule left.
Yeah, this is not hard.
But I think the problem for them is not their schedule. The problem for them is the Dodgers schedule.
Right. Yeah. Right. So the thing that worries me about not even just the Padres, it's the rest of baseball, is that, like, you said it to kind of open the show a bit, like, the rotation is starting to look like itself again.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I don't know that anything else matters, honestly. Like the Dodgers have not found their footing at all this season, and they are 71-53, and they're in first place in a very competitive division. I think the Dodgers over the next 2 months or month and a half are going to show everybody why we thought they were as good as they were to begin the season. And I have no, I think that's set in stone. I feel so confidently in that. I think the Dodgers will not, I don't know. I don't think that they're going to win this division. I think they're going to win this division by 8 games. I really think that the Dodgers are going to run away with the division come October. It is going to be a large distance. And that's the thing is the Dodgers schedule is super easy going in, right? And even though the Padres have a fairly easy schedule as well, the Dodgers, when it all clicks, nobody in baseball can even come close to comparing to them. Simply put, they simply compare. The Padres right now are one of the better teams in baseball. They're 20th in the league in OPS. You can make the argument right now that if the Padres don't pitch their ass off, I'm not saying that things could go awry, but they're a full-blown lineup length behind the Dodgers. They simply don't hit enough. And I know that sounds crazy, but they're bottom third of the league in OPS.
Yeah, the problem for San Diego is they don't hit for any power. Right. They have the 4th fewest home runs in baseball, which when you look at that lineup is surprising.
Yeah.
But part of it, look, Jackson Merrill was incredible last year. He hasn't been so incredible this year.
Right.
And Manny Machado's been great, right? Tatis has been good. Ramon Laureano was the only thing carrying their offense this weekend. Outside of Ramon Laureano, they went 16 of 94 for no home runs this weekend against the Dodgers. They couldn't hit. And some of that is the Dodgers pitching is becoming what other fans feared it might be now.
Yeah, right.
But some of that is that I think the Padres are a little slap happy as an offense. Mm-hmm. And I think that can work. If your pitching is elite, that can work. But they need guys like Ryan O'Hearn, they need him to hit for power. They need Gavin Sheets to be that power hitter he was at times earlier in the season.
Yeah, right.
They kind of need these guys because look, the concern with the Padres going into the season was depth. It's if you And the Padres are very fortunate from an injury perspective, not in the rotation, but in the lineup. They haven't missed really pieces from their lineup much at all the last few years.
Yeah.
But God forbid Manny Machado gets hurt or Fernando Tatis gets hurt. This lineup gets thin pretty quick.
It does.
And that's a problem for them. Now, I do think if the Padres make the playoffs, which they will, they're going to be a very, very tough out. Like, because they're not going to be asking for much from their starters. I'm a little bit concerned as if I'm a Padre fan, I'm a little bit concerned about how bad Dylan Cease looked this weekend. I think their starting pitching is a little concerning, but that bullpen is going to shorten games like nobody's business.
I'm trying to see if I can find real quick, and I probably should have had this prepared already. But I wonder what the Padres hit with runners in scoring position. I do. Because if they don't hit home runs, they have to find other ways to get guys in. And I'm just curious if I can quickly pull up that number. And I don't know that I can, but give me a second. Because
I can get it for you. Give me a second.
You're better at this stuff than I am.
Here, I'll go since the All-Star break, runners in scoring position. Let me go batting, runners in scoring position since the All-Star break. Update. They are 4th in WRC plus.
Wow. Okay, so that surprises me.
4th in batting average. But think about that. I mean, well, you got to remember, Mike, going into this weekend against the Dodgers, they were 14-3 in their last 17.
Right.
They were hot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I was not expecting a Dodgers sweep. I still think this Padres team is very good. But I think their lineup, if I'm a Padres fan and I'm thinking what's going to sink us, it would be their lineup. It would also be Michael King not coming back when they expected him to Friday was concerning as well. But we'll see what happens with that.
So batting average with runners in scoring position, I did find something here. Batting average, this is on the year. The Padres are 21st. And they're 27th in OPS with runners in scoring position. Only the Royals, the Pirates, and the White Sox are worse. So if, like you said, if Machado and Tatis and these guys are not hitting the ball out of the yard, they're struggling to get runners in.
Yeah. I mean, that's my biggest concern for San Diego offensively is the lack of power, full stop.
Yeah.
It's just they don't hit enough homers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. And like I said, I think, again, back to my original point, I just think the Dodgers, listen, with health on their side, I think the Dodgers are so much better than everybody else. I just do. If they can, honestly, my biggest concern with the Dodgers heading into the postseason is whether or not their bullpen can consistently get outs. Once their rotation hits their cap, can they get through the rest of the game consistently? That's the thing that, that's my one stoppage on the Dodgers. That's the one thing I'm concerned about. I think they're going to score a ton of runs. I think they're going to get, their rotation is, no doubt in my mind, fully healthy. They are by far the best rotation in baseball. With a healthy Ohtani, with a healthy Blake Snell, with a healthy Glass now, with those, it's not close.
Yeah, I mean, their starting pitching is second in baseball in FIP since the All-Star break.
Yeah,
right. That's the thing. They've actually figured it out for about a month now from a starting pitching perspective.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, you hit on it. The big concern. I think the one of the fun things about MLB this year in general as we go toward the postseason, every team's got clear flaws, including the Dodgers. The Dodgers' flaw is I don't know yet what piecing together outs late in the game is going to look like.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, I believe in Blake Trinan. He's been a little shaky so far, but he's coming off an injury. I believe that he'll be a big part of it. Tanner Scott, if healthy, will be a part of it. I don't know how much I believe in him, right?
Yeah, right.
Alexis Diaz is a guy who they've seemed to have rehabbed into something. but I don't know if I believe in that. Vesia, when he's not giving up home runs, is good. I don't know, right? And then after that, it's a lot of really young guys. It's, what are you going to get from Justin Robleski and Ben Kasparius and Jack Dreyer? I think it's been hit or miss. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting. But all right, let's shift gears to this. Again, we touched on it a little bit before. But let's talk about playoff positioning, right? Because we kind of understand where everybody's at now. We talked about the Mets a little bit earlier, and their wild card position. We talked a little bit about the Yankees and their wild card positioning right now. So let's each kind of pick a team here of like a team that could fall out of the current playoff picture, right? And then a team that could jump into their place. So Dalton, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, and we spoiled it from 20 minutes ago, but tell me what direction you're leaning in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I won't spend too much time on it, but I do think there's a real chance that the Reds overtake the Mets. I mean, like that Reds rotation, now that Hunter Green's back healthy, between Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, all of a sudden it's a strength. And I think needing fewer innings from Brady Singer and Nick Martinez and some of these other guys, they're a decently formidable pitching staff. And they have guys like, it feels like Ellie De La Cruz could break out any moment. Like, I don't know. I don't think the Reds are a World Series contender. I think they need to invest a little bit more in that roster to get there. Yeah. But I think a young team like that, when you let them believe the way the Mets are letting them believe right now, is really dangerous. And this Mets team feels like one that is in a pressure cooker, can feel that they're in a pressure cooker, and it's kind of breaking them a little bit.
Yeah.
And so there's plenty of time, right? There's 6 weeks here for the Mets to change the vibes and be better than the Reds, which they probably are on paper.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Baseball doesn't always work that way. And This is not May anymore, right? Yeah. Like we're more than halfway through August, and I don't know. That series in Cincinnati, do you know when that series is, Mike? I hope it's soon because I would love to see the Reds.
The Mets play the Reds in Cincinnati September 5th to September 7th.
Okay. So in a couple weeks.
Weekend series, early September.
I mean, think of it this way. If the Mets struggle between now and then.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
play that game then. Who do the Mets have?
Between now and then, they have at Washington.
At the Nationals, at the Braves, home against the Phillies, 4 against the Marlins.
Marlins are no pushover anymore, though.
No, the Marlins have been, I forget what it is, and maybe with the Brewers' hot streak, it's changed. But the Marlins have been, I don't they have the best record in baseball since June 1st or something like, or one of the 3 or 4 best records in baseball since June 1st. Like, you want to talk about a team that's been hot. The Marlins have been very good for 2 months.
Yeah, and Mike, I'm looking at this Mets schedule. Let's think this through, right? Because I told you I think they have the 13th hardest schedule left. So kind of really low. They, after this week, when they're at Washington and at Atlanta, right? You better win games this week if you're the Mets, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've looked, but
I'm looking at it right now.
After this week, you get Philly, you get the Marlins. Neither are pushovers. Dude, their September, I'm just going to read it off. Their September at Detroit for 3, at Cincinnati for 3, at Philly for 4.
A 10-game road trip.
I mean, what a 10-game road trip that is in September. At Detroit, at Cincinnati, at Philly. Then you come home and play the Rangers. Okay, but then you get the Padres coming into town. And that's a Padres team that's going to want to beat you. You're in a wild card race with them. And then the Nationals. And then it's at Cubs and at Marlins to end the year. That September, they don't get much of a break, man. I mean, there's that Nationals series. But other than that, I don't know, Mike. There's a real argument to be made that the Reds are going to make the playoffs.
No, I really think that there is an argument for that. And I think the Mets are the better team. I do. But yeah, I mean, that's just unfortunate. It feels unfortunate in that respect.
Well, but look, it's funny. I there was a Padres fan who I saw bitching and moaning on Twitter the other day about the Dodgers' schedule left and how easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is these teams are all playing a pretty balanced schedule, right? If you've got a tough September on the docket, it means you had an easy April or May or June, right? So it's just how it goes.
Yeah, no, it's the way it is. It's the way it is. I don't know that you can complain about schedule. I mean, unless you play in maybe the AL Central and you get to play the Twins and the White Sox 19 times a year each. Like maybe you could complain a little bit in that respect, but no, not really. So it's a shame that it kind of ended up this way, because I did have a feeling that you were going to pick the Mets, and if I was being honest with myself, I would say the Mets are in the most danger, and I think the Reds are in prime position to leap them. But I wanted to get a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, make a case. I want to hear it.
Because I feel like that's sort of the obvious one, and that's not to take anything away from that, but I feel like if you just look at the standings right now, that's the one that jumps out, right?
Yes.
Is Mets falling out, Reds jumping into their place. I will say this. The only other one that I can really look at and feel semi-confident about is that the Mariners and the Yankees both jump the Red Sox, and the Red Sox potentially fall out. So the reason I'm saying that is because the Red Sox, by the way, have not been playing very good baseball lately either. And I don't know how sustainable first of all, I don't know how sustainable their lineup is for another month and a half. And especially their rotation as well without Tanner Houck. So I question that a little bit. Now, the argument against that is that their schedule the rest of the way is not all that hard, right? If you look at it in the grand scheme of things. But
it's middle of the road. It's the 17th toughest to
mean, if you look at it, right, you got two against the Orioles right now. Then you're at the Yankees. Then you're at the Orioles again for 4 more. Then you play Pittsburgh. But then you got 3 against the Guardians. I don't know. You got 3 more against the Yankees. You still have to play the Blue Jays 3 more times. You finish the season in Detroit, right? Or not in Detroit, but against Detroit. There's a case to be made here that, and honestly, in my humble opinion, I don't know that the Red Sox roster is strong enough for me to say they're definitely comfortable in a playoff spot right now. I just don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'll put it this way, Mike. I am not, Garrett Crochet aside, you're throwing who out there to pitch? Giolito, who's been better than expected, but I don't know that we believe in that, right?
Right, yeah.
Dustin May and Walker Buehler. Brian Bayo. I mean, outside of Garrett Crochet, which one of those 4 guys are you looking at and you're going, that guy's going to go win me a game when I need it?
Yeah, right.
And so, yeah, I think the concerns with Boston's rotation are real. Their lineup, I think, is legitimately good, but is also really young. And Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu, these guys could go cold. It could happen. Right.
That's what I'm saying. They are relying on a lot of guys that are not necessarily proven at any point. You know what I mean?
One thing that I look at here too, because I think we mentioned Boston plays Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, they play Cleveland. Is that series in Boston or in Cleveland?
It is in Boston. It is September 1st to September 3rd in Boston.
Okay, so think about this. Let's say Cleveland goes in there and sweeps them, right? Because when you think about these scenarios, that's where I start, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Cleveland were to sweep Boston, they're a half game back.
Right.
And I don't know, like if you ask me which team is better between those two, I'm probably flipping a coin. I don't really know, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
splitting hairs.
I think I'd probably say Boston by a little, but no, I agree. The main issue that I had with this, honestly, of just like throwing the Red Sox into this scenario is that it's not even that I think the Red Sox are good enough to make the playoffs, which again, they are, but who else is in the American League?
Well,
Like, are
yeah,
the Royals or the Guardians capable of jumping them?
I think so.
You do.
I think so. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen because, well, they have a deficit to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
But I like what the Royals did at the deadline, right? Like I think that roster is exciting and young, and like there's room for the Royals to get hot. I mean, I'll put it this way, Mike. Which rotation are you taking?
Oh, the Royals by far. Easily.
Exactly. I mean, Noah Cameron is an ace, apparently, right?
Yeah, Lugo and Bubic.
Lugo, Waka, Bubic is out, right. But
yep.
I mean, I'm taking that Royals rotation in a heartbeat over the Boston's.
Right. Yeah.
The bullpens, I don't think are that far apart. So, like, can Vinny Pasquantino stay hot? Can Bobby Witt Jr. be special? Like,
yeah, right.
I'm a buyer. I mean, I said it at the deadline that I like what the Royals did because I think that they're showing, like, if there's one thing we know about the Royals, it's that they want to compete now.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to make a few moves in the offseason that are going to really show that going into next year, too. And so if the Red Sox breathe any life into the Royals, I could see them making a run.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, man. I'll put it this way. The thing that I agree with you on most, I think right now when I look at the playoffs in each side, there are 5 teams in each side that I feel really cocksure are going to be there, right?
Yeah.
I feel very confident that Toronto, Detroit, Houston, Seattle, and the Yankees are going to be there in the AL. And I feel really confident that Milwaukee, the Dodgers, Philly, the Cubs, and the Padres are going to be there in the NL.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a matter of, do the Mets and Red Sox hold on? I think are fair questions.
No, I absolutely think that those are fair questions. You have no idea, by the way, how badly I want to say that the Rangers are in that discussion. They just aren't. I don't think the Rangers are just not. And like, if you look at their roster, you would think that they are, but they're just, they don't hit ever. They haven't hit all year.
Yeah.
Like it has been abysmal how poorly they've hit this year. Like if you're a Ranger, like how disappointed are you? By the way, just spend like a minute on this. How disappointed are you if you're a Texas Ranger fan right now?
Well, if I'm a Texas Ranger fan, I was low on them preseason.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Look, the saving grace for them, their starting pitching has actually been pretty good. Like since the All-Star break, they're 7th in starting pitching ERA.
Jacob deGrom is a wizard.
Yeah, DeGrom's been great. Merrill Kelly's been great, right? Like it's a good rotation.
Yeah,
they just don't hit enough. Like the problem for the Rangers, and I think I felt this way preseason too. Like they're just not great at anything.
Yeah,
like you look around their roster, and there's a lot of like decent. There's a lot of pretty good, but I think some of their issue, and it's odd that these two teams played in the World Series a couple years ago, a little bit like the Diamondbacks, where you look at that team and it's a lot of pretty good, and it's not enough great, and they end up like it's just not enough.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of name recognition, right? Like, and even with their young players, right? With Josh Young and Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford, and like those are all young guys you've heard about, but even their production has just been subpar to say the least.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the Rangers winning that World Series in 2023, they won that World Series ahead of what was supposed to be their real contention window.
Right. Yeah. That really was some run that they went on. I mean, Josh Boers was like, I don't know. The guy was Mariano Rivera for a month.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why you watch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's baseball, man. And I think that's why some of these teams, like if you're like the reason that all the preseason talk of baseball's losing its parity, but it's all bullshit.
No, it's
Like
crap.
like outside of the Rockies, the whole league's within 20 games, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just these teams are never that far apart.
Don't
So
disrespect the White Sox like that too. They're outside of the Rockies and the White Sox. They
that's true.
can't exclude them.
Yeah.
All righty. Again, John does math, providing the content here. What are we here for? Let's just Rockies are tied with the Dodgers right now. Right now. And apparently $3 beers at Coors Field right now. Silver
Yeah,
Bowl.
it's 0-0 in the second inning. Now the Dodgers do have 2 on with nobody out and Shohei Ohtani on deck, so we'll see.
All right. Hot corner, Dalton. What do you have?
Yeah. Speaking of the Guardians and whether they can make a run, I do wonder if Tristan Reyes is watching right now. He's a huge Gardos fan. I like the Guardians tonight. They are plus 101, so just about even money on the road in Arizona. Gavin Williams has been awesome. Like, flirted with a no-hitter a couple weeks ago. He's really come into his own as that prospect that they thought he could be. And he's going up against Zach Gallen tonight. Zach Gallen, ERA around 6 over his last 7 starts. I just think the Guardians right now are playing for something a little bit more than Arizona is.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I trust Gavin Williams more than I trust Zach Gallen at the moment. I trust the Guardians bullpen, even without Class A, more than I trust the Diamondbacks right now. So I think the wrong team's favored. Like, that home field advantage in Arizona is not worth anything to the line tonight.
Yeah.
There are going to be 50 people there, and half of them are going to be Gardos fans on vacation in Arizona. So, yeah, Guardians plus 101. I think they should be like minus 125. So not a huge edge, but I'll take Cleveland tonight to win.
Yeah. Gavin Williams just recently almost threw a no-hitter against the Mets. Like, yeah, that was some performance. Again, coming off something hot.
By the way, Juan Soto homering and smiling at Gavin Williams the moment he makes contact on a home run that made it like 4-1 was just peak Juan Soto douchebag behavior. In a way that, like, part of me appreciated it, and part of me is like, man, if I'm a Mets fan, I'm like, buddy, just round the fucking bases. Like, we're not winning. Like, I just had to say it.
Oh boy. Oh man. Tristan Reyes, by the way, we're coming for that wild card from the Yanks, Mike. I'm sure you are, but it won't be the Yankees. It'll be the Red Sox, as we just discussed. It'll be the Red Sox. Watch that whole game. F1. I love that. Oh man, that's what they paid for. I appreciate the interactions today. As I always do. Dalton, happy 50th episode, brother. This is always super fun.
Speaking of Dalton Rushing almost just hit a 3-run home run, but it was only a sac fly. Dodgers are up 1-0.
Sorry. Hey, John, I'm sorry, dude. Really, it was nice while it lasted, right, John? I mean, it's what can we say now? But again, 50 episodes in, Dalton, and hopefully to another 50 more, we can get to episode 100, get that next milestone. But appreciate everybody that makes this show great. Am I allowed to swear on here? Bogus.
We swear on here, so
we swear. Yeah, right. Exactly. You can type whatever you want, I guess. All right, that does it for us. That's Dalton. I'm Mike Guido. This is the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast on the Grid Network, exclusively on the Grid Network. We will see you next week.